Hello, 7th graders. Your video is covering section 1.2 out of the book, which is adding and subtracting integers. So first of all, we need to talk about what they mean when they say additive inverse. That really is just a fancy way of saying the opposite. It's the opposite of a number. So for example, if I have the number 3, its opposite would be -3. Those are opposites. 3 and -3. 7, -7. 5, -5. Opposites. Absolute value. It's a number's distance from 0 on a number line. A number's distance. Absolute value cannot be negative because you can't have a negative number of spots from 0. The symbols for absolute value are these. And so if they put a number in there, let's say they put a -2 in there, all they're asking is, how many spots from 0 is -2? It's 2 spots away. So the answer would be, the answer would be 2. And so another example, let's say I have 7 inside of these little brackets. The answer is not -7. The answer is 7. It's asking how many spots is it from 0. Okay? Something to remember is that absolute values are always positive. Okay? You can't have a negative number of spots from 0. So then we're going to get into integer subtraction rules. And yesterday we covered the addition of integers and what happens there when you try to add a positive and a negative or 2 negatives. Today we're going to do the subtracting ones. So when you're subtracting a number, it is the same as adding its negative. What do I mean by that? Well, let me show you a couple examples here. So let's say that I have something that you've seen before. So 3 minus 2. I think we all know that that's 1. Okay? But if we use this rule, it says it's the same as adding its negative. So what I do when I have subtraction problems, I change it so that it's not a subtraction problem anymore. So the rule says it is the same as adding its negative. So I'm going to change it to adding its negative. Now I go back to yesterday's rules. I have one of each sign. So 3 minus 2 is 1, and my positive is bigger, so of course my answer is 1. Now you might be saying to yourself, why is she teaching us this? This is so easy. Let's try a different one. So if I have -7 minus 3. So how many of you would say, well, that's easy? The answer is -4. I bet there's some of you that are saying, well, yeah, it's -4. And I would have to say, no, it's not, because you follow this rule right here. It says same as adding its negative. So I have to change it to add a negative. Now they're both negative, so I add them up. My answer is -10. What happens if you're at -7 on the number line? This is another way that you can look at it. Okay? Let's pretend that this is -7 over here. So this would be -10, and this would be -4. So let's see which way we're really supposed to go here. So if I'm starting out at -7, and I'm supposed to subtract 3 from that, am I going here, or am I going here? If I go back this way, I'd be adding. So subtracting would have to be 3 this way, and I would end up right here at -10. My second rule, when subtracting a negative, it's the same as adding its positive. Okay, so let's say that I have -7, and I'm going to subtract a -3 from it. I already have -7. Now I'm getting rid of 3 of those negatives. So I have to go add its opposite, which is a positive. Now I have one of each sign. My negative is bigger, so 7 minus 3 is 4, and it is -4. And if you want to see that on a number line, So I'm starting here at negative 7. And I have to get rid of negative 3 because it said subtract negative 3. So subtract 1, 2, 3 negatives, and I'm right here. I'm subtracting a negative as opposed to up here where I subtracted a positive. See the difference? Here I started with a negative 7, and I was subtracting a positive 3, which means I'm going further this way. On this one, I'm subtracting a negative, which means I'm getting rid of some of the negatives, so I'm actually going back this way. Those are probably the two trickiest rules when dealing with the adding and subtracting of integers. Bring that knowledge with you, and we'll talk about it more the next time I see you. Have a good night.